BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Good morning, everybody. Let's have a look at XRP. I like it, just to let you know, I really like it. But before we start going on about how much I like it and for all the reasons why, unfortunately, we've got to have a bit of bad news. So Bitcoin obviously started off quite well, and it's a good start. That's a good start. Remember we were talking about yesterday about the 4 hourly. You know, I move up only to get rejected on that 21 exponential moving average, which is where we saw. In fact, actually, we managed to sneak a little bit up, a little further than that. We could easily see that again today. That meaning a resistance of 63,677, and then we take ourselves back to the 4 hourly and say, all right. That's fine. We've moved up. Now, if we're going to hold, we would like to see a hold above 62,000 at this point. Yesterday's video was all about saying, well, the weekly close was okay, you know, which it was, and it is. You know, the weekly close above that 21 exponential was good, and then obviously referring to the daily, the 21 exponential, where we'd like to see rejection, which is where we have, and now we're looking at the 4 hourly, which is the 21 exponential, more or less on the 4 hourly. That 21 exponential, eh? It's got, you know, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, depending on the time frame that you're looking at. It doesn't actually have to be the 21 exponential, but it's just about a reference of whether you're above it or below it, and on which time frame. So we're above it on the weekly and the 4 hourly, we're below it on the daily. So with that, you can look at the weekly and say, all right, long-term bids seems reasonable to me. 4 hourly is more of a trader's chart, and you'll be thinking, all right, fine. If we're going to get an immediate reaction from it, we're talking about supports of 62,318, which is where the 21 exponential is. It's also backed up by this 50 exponential, where we did have a bit of resistance on it. This is all part of a death cross retest, by the way. Bang, rejection, bang, rejection, bang, rejection, breakout. So if we do come down to retest it, that is a decent area to think about finding a support, really. To be honest with you, it should be, if we're going to continue with this, that should be the area that we bounce from, right, on the short-term time frames. Might even be seeing it now as I'm making this video. Kind of pointless for anyone who's going to tune in. Oh, I should have got up earlier, or maybe I should have made my video earlier. I can't make it much earlier than this. I've got 2 little kids, right? They've got to get to school and nursery and dressed and fed, and you know. So this is about as early as I can do it. I know people are saying, "Oh, get out of bed earlier, mate, and make a video even earlier." Come on, do me a favour, right? So that's what we're looking for, a bounce around here on the short-term time frames, probably worthy of an attempt to make a trade. And if that fails, then we do have the 20 moving average, which is down here at 62,000, more or less flat. Let's have a look at momentum. So the momentum is and has been relatively good, but I think it's reasonable to assume that if we do move up a little bit further, 64,600, which is the full-on exponential death cross retest, would be with the area where we get rejected from, and then we look for a pullback down to these areas. Recognise that we're looking at a series of higher highs and higher lows. There's no pump signal on this yet. We're likely to see a pump signal at this current price. If we were to hold it for the next couple of days, the itchy cloud would generate a pump signal at that point, and you'll be looking for it to carry up into this box. I call it the box of significance. Back into that box would be pretty good. So, like I said, the weekly closed okay. The 4 hourly is showing some signs of life. The daily is giving us rejection. So we are looking for supports really to create a higher low. Let's get on to XRP, where the fun really begins. So XRP on the daily, again, you know, this is not too different to that of a Bitcoin chart. We've managed to reclaim certain areas, 21, 20. We're sitting down here today, as of this morning, a candle body positioned above, just above the Bollinger Band Center, and looking to hopefully push itself back up. So this is the Bitcoin pair. So again, no pump signal, no nothing like that, but we were talking about how there has been divergence brewing on XRP's chart now on the daily for a little bit of time. So we've had that, and it's ever so slight, ever so subtle. Same thing with the money flow index. If we take it to the weekly, it's also there as well. The money flow index is very pronounced, turning up actually very nicely. In fact, the weekly is the better looking chart, which is what we like. Remember how much I love a weekly? Weeklies are my favourite thing. You know, I can't live without a weekly. And the weekly is saying, all right, there is a chance now that we're scraping out an absolute low for XRP to Bitcoin. So if somebody were to come up to me now and say, right, I've got £1 million, okay, and I only want to put it into one thing. I don't want to risk too much. All right, I don't want to go into something extremely high risk. But Bitcoin is a bit boring. What should I do? I'd probably say at this point right now, you're going to deploy £1 million into something. What? Yeah, I'd say probably. I know it's going to sound crazy, and you're not going to like it, but I think it's XRP. All right, I think XRP is the one that you would deploy that large amount in for. What was probably a least risky altcoin. So you take it back to the tether pair, and you're like, "What are you talking about? This is like this is carnage. This is horrendous. This is awful." Yeah, I know. But if your job is to outperform Bitcoin, and I know that that's not what XRP is known for, generally speaking. Look at this chart. It's a down-only chart, really. This is giving all the signs of something that you'd want to do that with. So again, looking at this, oh, there's my RSI deleted. If you want to join the Patreon, by the way, I'm doing a live stream tonight, and we can look at loads of other altcoins. If you want to find something to deploy £1 million in, maybe we'll find something else that's better than XRP. So, you know the way I love a money flow index read, you know, on a weekly. Normally, 2 drives will do it, bullish divergence. In this instance, we got 3, okay, bang, bang, bang. So this is more than ripe on the higher term timeframes to start its uptrend. Again, this is going to outperform Bitcoin more or less from this area, I'd say, until towards the end of the cycle. So £1 million into XRP versus £1 million into Bitcoin, I would say XRP would be the better bet, the much better bet. In fact, I would say it would be a must-have at this stage if you had the choice between just those two. The MACD turned up quite nicely, and again, so bullish divergence across the weekly, across all those momentum indicators, and yeah, the daily's not quite the pillar of health, but we are above this Bollinger Band as well, so if we wanted to, we could start moving up. Now, what do we see over here? So there's your golden cross on simples, there's your golden cross on exponentials, and the simples are holding 1, 2 attempts to hold at that level. So this is a golden cross retest, believe it or not, like it or lump it, that's what it is. And so a V-shaped recovery is usually to be expected. Should take us up to 788 sats. It's only ever so small, but that's what it should take us up to. And then at that point, you should be looking to see if an uptrend will brew, not just on that 4-hourly, which it would be at that point, but on the other time frames. So let's have a look at the 12-hourly. So the 12-hourly is almost certainly going to generate a pump signal at some point, probably even today. And that pump signal is likely to take you up to 800 to maybe 833 sats, 833, I don't know why I say 833. And that's what that says. So the 12-hourly is brewing a pump signal. We got bullish divergence on higher term timeframes being the weekly. The daily is holding a Bollinger Band center, and the 4-hourly has just done a golden cross retest. Lovely stuff. So let's go over to the tether pair to see if there's anything worth talking about on here, because it doesn't look like there is really. This, if you were to just look at this one chart on its own, you'd be like, it's pretty sad. In fact, we just have a short signal generated over here on the weekly for XRP. That might give us another attempt to buy significantly lower. Remember, sats don't give you dollar prices. Sats just refer, the strength or weakness versus Bitcoin. And I think it's scraping out, or maybe has even put in its low at this point. Whereas the tether pair may not. The tether pair can easily come down, and even by doing that, you could see, just as we are at the moment, to be honest with you, we could see that the Bitcoin pair is outperforming. So we're up 1.19%, but actually we're only up 0.4% unchanged. So Bitcoin coming down, XRP obviously coming down from where it has been, but still not as bad as Bitcoin. So you can see that this short signal can still play in terms of dollar pricing. They could easily take us back down to 42 cents or 43 cents, thereabouts. And this may even go up as that takes place, because Bitcoin might come down at a faster rate than XRP. Sounds crazy, but that's what the chart suggests. So the weekly on XRP to USDT, not very good. In fact, it's not a good chart. It's a chart that you'd be like, oh, that's a shame. That's not very good, actually. Unfortunate. You do have bullish divergence on the daily. On the RSI, you have turned up just recently, but we're still battling with the 21 exponential, just like Bitcoin is. Rejection on the 21, just like exactly like what Bitcoin's done. So there's no difference there. And the 4-hourly, it's slow, it's meek, it's not very amazing, but we are above moving averages of most descriptions. And the supports on this one is just a fraction from where we are right now. We're talking 47.60, so 47 cents. 47.5 cents. But outside of the fact that we've only got a small area to play with here before a position can be taken on the shorter term time frames, momentum seems reasonable. So I'm putting it to you now that despite what you might think about XRP and blah blah blah, this is actually okay for it. Whether you decide to rotate some of your beautiful bitcoins into it, or if you just wanted to buy it, it's completely up to you. I can understand why people might not want to. Remember, buying any altcoin, even something like XRP, which is historically rubbish and nobody really wants it, they do move at some point, and it will likely move again. And if there is going to be a low scraped out for XRP versus its Bitcoin pair, whoops, it looks like it would be around here. So rather than boring you to death about any more, I should have hopefully given you enough evidence to suggest why I'm saying it. I'm not saying it just for a laugh, I'm saying it for a reason, and it's mostly based on its Bitcoin pair. Something is taking place over here, and I wouldn't ignore it, really. I wouldn't ignore it. I've got loads of XRP, more than I should, in fact. I've got tons of it. I could swim in it, but I am tempted, even me now, I am tempted to maybe flip one of my bitcoins into XRP at this level, just based on everything that I've said. I'm not saying it for no reason. I'm saying it because this is what the chart presents. And the most important thing really would be to look at something like this and go, all right, okay, what does it mean if I was to flip a bitcoin into XRP? So I flip one bitcoin, I could get a death cross retest of simple moving averages of 126%. That's doubling my bitcoin just for that trade. Okay, one bitcoin in, 2 bitcoins out. Or I could aim for the exponentials, 1 bitcoin in, 3 bitcoins out. That's basically the setup that we're looking at here, and that's only if we were to do a death cross retest. If we were to break out, which we could, this could happen. There's always the chance that XRP's chart changes its overall behavior, which is a down only chart. You can only imagine what would happen if we were to break out of that 2000 sat zone. You would see this chart actually rise significantly, massively, like enormous sort of moves. If that were to happen, you would see huge moves, 700%. There's 1 bitcoin in, 8 bitcoins out, 1 bitcoin in, 12 bitcoins out. This is just hopium at this point, but you can understand what I'm saying. So this is a down only chart. You treat it as a down only chart. If you were to do the most simplest trades, you would the top targets would only be these exponentials and these simples all the way up here. But as we've seen, and you see it all the time, charts do effectively sometimes have a change of behavior, and the change of behavior would be breaks above here. And if we're talking, between now and this time next year, which is what this trade would be, that's how long this trade may take to play, because it is a weekly that we're looking at. I'm putting it to you now that a lot can happen in a year. XRP do have a strong team, lots of development, and they're branching out into a variety of different areas that they hadn't previously. So I'm just going to put it to you that there is a chance, there is a chance that not only is this the low, but it's the low that leads into the change of behavior. But a chart won't tell you that it's definitely going to break resistance. There's no way to say that, especially when you're scraping a low like this. But if it were to, it might end up being, one of the bravest trades, and perhaps one of the trades that you could look back on, with a bit of pride, because you're like, all right, fine, I know it's an unpopular decision. You wouldn't want to walk into, some crypto convention and say, what have you done today? So, I swapped a Bitcoin for XRP. You'd be laughed out. You'd be laughed out of the crypto convention if there is such a place. But I'm just putting it to you now that if someone was to do that and they presented me with what I've just presented you, I'd say I would understand why you've done that. Whether it's successful later on down the line is a different story, but I would completely understand why you'd do that, because there's enough evidence to say that it's a worthy thing to have done. Again, we're talking weeklies here, so remember, at 20 past
3 this afternoon, and if this hasn't moved up 11,000% or whatever, remember, it is a weekly. It's unlikely to fulfill its true destination probably for a year or more, but the evidence is saying to me that this looks like a rounded bottom with bullish divergence, and yeah, might not correspond to the tether pair, but the Bitcoin pair, it looks like a rotation event or a rotation opportunity to me. Right, that is that. I'll leave it with you there. Nothing much more to say, but hopefully I'll see you on the Patreon live stream tonight. Links in the description below. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.